All right, let's get to underrated, overrated for this week. All right, this first underrated, overrated that I'm going to read is this transcends the topic of underrated, overrated because not only do you get to hear this person's underrated, overrated, you get to see why having a tragic childhood and I don't know what yeah, basically that leads you to be hilarious because all right, let me just read this. This is from the same person. All right, underrated. Your new girlfriend being hotter than your ex-girlfriend. That first face-to-face meeting between them is priceless. That's right. She's hotter and skinnier than you. Enjoy the eating disorder. So right off the bat, you're thinking, wow, that's kind of harsh. The fuck? Where does that come from? You learn where this comes from and is overrated. Overrated. Your dad telling you he loves you. I heard you. I'm not saying it back. Now tell that bitch you left mom for to get me a fresh beer. Now I'm going to tell you right now, if this dude ever did stand-up, he would be the guy that the comedians hang in the back of the club watching on stage as the crowd's groaning, laughing their fucking ass off because they're relating to everything that he's saying. Those are two classics. Those are two fucking classics right there. I heard you the first time. I'm not saying it back. Just completely walled off with the emotions. Ah, that's fucking great. That's a funny guy right there. You already know it. You know it. Anyways, underrated modern horror movies. Being that it was Halloween last week, every channel had a horror movie marathon of some sorts. And I watched some of them. What happened to horror films? They used to be scary. It might be that I have grown up, but I think the real problem is that they spend most of their time trying to gross out the audience. Have you actually seen the movie Saw? The first one was good, but after that, they just try to make you throw up. I mean, does the movie really need a 2-minute sequence of a guy being injected with acid and melting? Did that really happen? That's kind of why I stopped watching. I saw the first Saw, and I thought it was interesting, and I started to watch the second one, and I'm like, this is just gross. This isn't really scary. It's like scary, it's like an even grosser Jackass. Right? Does that make any sense? Let me just keep reading this goddamn shit. Why am I trying this week? Anyways, he goes on to say, it would be okay if they were unpredictable, but they always make the killer the most obvious choice, which just makes it obvious. Did that make sense? Yes, it did. Why did you lose confidence in the end? No, I totally agree with you. I think the problem with a lot of movies, both action movies and horror movies, is that the special effects are so unbelievable now that's what they focus on. This happens, and then the fucking special effects, that they don't build any suspense, and they don't really build the characters where you give a shit about them and you're rooting for them. I just mentally tap out of most of them. I'm like, well, this guy's the lead, so there's no way he's going to die or else the movie would be over. So what's the fucking point of this? And I always bring it back to A Perfect Storm. I could give a shit. By the time they got to the wave, I was rooting for the wave because I didn't care about their pathetic attempt to try to bring some nobility to these guys who went fishing. They just so glossed over the whole fucking thing. I didn't even give a shit. So I would agree with you, sir. What else we got here? Underrated cane sugar. Seriously, so much better than that high fructose crap. Pepsi Throwback is awesome. You know what? I'm going to try it just because you said that. And I'm not even a big soda guy. Underrated. Going to a concert. Most people I know have never had the full concert experience of going to see someone you love and seeing them live on stage, killing it, and leaving deaf, sweaty, tired, bruised, and loving every second of it. You're probably facing the same problem with people going out to see stand-up. Actually, I got to admit, I've been really lucky. People have been coming out to my shows. But anyways, he says they think it's going to be the same thing as watching it on TV. I remember the first time I saw you do your stand-up act. It was also the first time I'd ever seen a comedy show. I'm paraphrasing because I don't know where I am in this sentence. First time I ever saw a comic was you about 4 years ago. And the live experience of seeing someone who was good at their craft is just so much better than watching it on TV. Well, thank you very much, sir. And considering you just gave me a little bit of a pat on the back, I want to thank you, everybody who's gone out and has bought my DVD. My DVD is killing it. It's still, last I checked, still in the top 10 on iTunes. I can't thank you guys enough. This one is selling even better than Why Do I Do This sold. And all the emails you guys are sending me about that extra 21 minutes of material that you didn't get to see, basically 25% of the special that you didn't get to see on Comedy Central. I read all of them. I appreciate all the kind emails and all that type of shit. It's nice. It really offsets all the Jet fans giving me shit to read a nice compliment. Now a Jet fan's going to write, I love the DVD, and then I'm going to open it up. Patriots suck. I already know you're up to that. What do you think, I'm a fucking child? But seriously, and Christmas is coming up, so keep buying those DVDs. It's only like $10 on Amazon.com. And as I stated before, it makes a great stocking stuffer for someone you don't give a fuck about but have to buy a gift for. Go out, bang out 6 of them for $60. There you go. Frisbee them around. There you go. Up to 6 people. You know? Whatever, just buy the goddamn thing, okay? My ringtone was such a goddamn flop. People actually asking me to make another ringtone, and I feel like a band that's scratching their head why they haven't been dropped by their label yet. Which actually segues us into some of the questions for this week, if I could find them. Somebody actually asked me some drum questions. Said, Bill, I got 3 questions for you after I heard your drum battle on YouTube, and you didn't suck. You seem like a relatively good drummer, an extremely good opinionator, so I'd like to ask your opinion on some drum things. What do you think are some of the hardest drum songs to play? Well, for me, it would be just about all of them. The hardest ones, I would say as far as like for, look, I'm going to actually get into this a little bit because I really got hardcore into sports. You know, not even remotely concerned about people who could give a shit about sports. So I'll get into this a little bit for the musicians out there. Is I actually found one of the hardest things to do is to have the discipline to just sit down and try and make what I could physically play actually sound good. Because I think one of the big things when you're learning an instrument is when you physically get something down, you move on to the next thing. You don't stay with it until you can actually make it sound good and make it sound good to somebody listening to you play it. You just, okay, I got that down. Bam. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next fucking thing rather than, if you learn like a drum fill, you just get the fill down and you play a couple of fucking beats and then you just throw it in. Yeah, I got that down. You don't really have it down. So one of the hardest things for me was having the discipline. And it was something I learned when I was watching Steve Jordan play drums. And I was listening to him play something. And I was watching it going, I can physically play what he's playing. And what he's playing is actually really simple, but I could not make it sound 1/1,000,000th as good as he's making it sound right now. Like, he was playing a beat that would actually be considered lame if I played it. And the way he played it, it sounded unbelievably fresh, and it would make an entire arena just start smiling and get into whatever song was being played. That was the fucking hardest thing as far as trying to get halfway decent at drums for me. But as far as just songs that are difficult, any of the shit by John Bonham, his foot is just so goddamn fast. And you can catch up with speed, but you just can't play it the way he fucking plays it. And I've had unbelievable arguments about people like, the Coke and Pepsi argument with white rock drummers is who do you like better, Bonham or Neil Peart? This is way back in the day before all these other kids came along and are just fucking killing it. And I always picked Bonham. I didn't think Neil Peart was anywhere near him. I thought Neil Peart was like a fucking technician. He played right on the beat, and it sounded very fucking robotic. as opposed to John Bonham, who could play, once again, the simplest fucking fill that I could physically do but could never play it the way he plays. They're just the fucking shit. It's like watching a great actor. You know what I mean? Who can just take like a really just basic fucking monologue and make it the most interesting goddamn, like a Christopher Walken or even John Goodman that I was playing. Like I sometimes I forget what a great fucking actor that guy is. I don't know. So, but as far as like songs that I would say is difficult, I would say the Wanton song is ridiculously difficult, and I think most people play it wrong. They actually leave out one bass drum note where he's playing 3 in a row and they only play 2 in a row. At that fucking tempo was fucking ridiculous. Out on the Tiles, that second fill that he does that ends where he plays a fucking triplet with one goddamn bass drum is fucking ridiculous. And then I also got to admit that drum and bass shit and a lot of stuff that like I love really into like what's his face Questlove, the shit that he plays. He's another guy where I think he took like the Steve Jordan thing to like the next level. And he does shit. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing, but I don't like I'm fucking stuttering here because I can't really think of any specific song. I'll give you one here that I want to break out my double pedal because I don't play double bass. I just play a single bass drum. But every once in a while, there's a drummer comes along that's so fucking good, it makes me want to play double bass. And I've actually really gotten into that band, Lamb of God. And just to warn some of my older listeners, this is the sort of that rah, 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 rah kind of fucking singing.